it going? Devin here again with CountryGuitarOnline.com. Got another lesson in this series we're working on, learning how to play really nice chord embellishments, rhythm guitar fill riffs, lead guitar techniques, all sorts of awesome stuff like that. And we're focusing on the note combinations that will make your playing sound the most country and bluegrass. You know, stuff like this. It's awesome stuff. I love that sound. I've been working on this particular style for about 6 years now, and 6 years ago I was pretty unfamiliar with this whole style of play. Didn't know how to use the scales, to create this sound. But the last 6 years I pretty much discovered what scales I need to use and how to use them to create this sound. So that's what I'm going to share with y'all and keep sharing with y'all in this series as we go forward with it. And if you're just now jumping into this series, and if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link below this YouTube video. It'll take you over to the course outline of this course we got going on. And we got about 6 lessons, I think, prior to this one. You can get caught up, and they go in order. You can start from the beginning and then follow them all the way through until you get caught up to where we're at right now. Quick recap, I guess, for those of y'all just now joining us. At this point, we focused on the key of G, just because that's so common for country and bluegrass. Tons of songs with G-C-D chord progressions. And if it's not in the key of G, really common, most of y'all probably know this, but slap that capo on, it'll change the key, but you can still use these G-C-D chord shapes and all these scales and riffs that we're covering to play different riffs in a different key. So same fingering, same riffs, different key. That's what makes this so helpful and useful, is that you can use these riffs that we're covering over pretty much any song in any key. That's what's so great about it. All right, up until now we focused on the 5th position scales right here near the nut. And the 5th position scales, they use the open strings. You use the open strings to play them. Really good for creating those fills in between your G-C-D chord progression, because the scales are right there in the same exact location as the open chords. And there's a few different scales we've looked at right there. The last lesson we pretty much divided these scales. We broke them down into 2 main scales. We got the major scale and 5th position G major scale right here. Here's the chart of it, and it sounds like this. So that's the first scale. And then the second main scale we got is the blue scale, 5th position. So we got those 2 scales right here at the same spot. They both share some of the same notes, but there's differences between them too. The last lesson we started talking about how to get this country sound, you got to combine both of those scales into one scale. And this new combined scale, we're calling it the hybrid scale. It's a hybrid country and bluegrass scale. This is really where your playing starts to get that country and bluegrass sound. That's where it comes from, is this hybrid scale. And you can play up the notes of the scale and play back down, play the scale straight in order. It sounds okay, but where it really starts coming to life is when you start changing up the note combinations and you learn different riffs using the scale. And that's where I'm going to come in and help y'all, give y'all a bunch of ideas on how to use the scale in different ways and apply it to actual songs where that sound good, So today we are going to apply this scale to the chord progression of Cripple Creek. If you haven't heard Cripple Creek, it's a very common bluegrass tune, and it's really heavy on the banjo. I don't know, some of y'all may or may not like that, but it's got that bluegrass sound. And if you've ever been to a bluegrass jam, Cripple Creek is played at bluegrass jams all the time. So if you know Cripple Creek going into a bluegrass jam, this is going to be helpful. And first round through this chord progression, we're going to go over just the rhythm and the chord progression, break down the right hand technique. Second round through, we will start adding in some fill riffs and the first time with the fill riffs, we'll add in some very easy beginner fill riffs for the beginner players, and then we'll go through it another time and we'll add in some extra, some more difficult fills the second time through. So that's it. We got 3 different versions. We got the rhythm, beginner fill riff version, and then the intermediate fill riff version we're going to cover. So let's get into it. Let's start going over the chord progression first and then start adding in the fills. So kickoff. G, G, C, G, 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 D, G, 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 C, G, 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 D, G, B part, G, 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 D, G, 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 D. There you go. That's the song. Then you go back to the A part and just repeat it. A, B, A, B, A, B. So you can study that chord progression a little bit if you want to. I'm going to break down the right hand technique pretty quickly and give you all an idea what's going on, and then we'll start adding in those fill riffs. Here's a little more detail. The more intermediate to advanced players, y'all might want to skip through this section. It's up to y'all. I use the table here at the top of this lesson post. I've got a table with the section start time, so you can jump to the next section if you're ready to do that. But a little extra detail. Let's start out with this kickoff. How I started. And remember just the 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, theta. Pretty straightforward. With the left hand, not too much going on. You start out with your left ring finger fretting the 4th fret, 4th string, that note right there. And when I start this out, I'm actually pressing all 3 fingers down with my left hand, my pointer, middle, and ring finger. I think it's just for stability probably, but that's what I do. Got the down pick, up pick triangles below the tablature here. And with the right hand, it might take a little bit of practice, but we're going to do 1 down pick, and we're going to catch the 4th string and the 3rd string at the same time. And we're just going to do pick and slide up. And that's the idea for this whole kickoff. You're going to be basically doing down and up picks, but try to catch both of those strings as best you can. Get it as clean as you can, as if it was just 1 string. And I know after you slide up, it's the same note, but for some reason 2 strings gives it a little extra power, a little extra that drone sounds good. And if you catch that open B string, that's okay too. You might accidentally catch that in there. No biggie, but just try to get it as clean as you can. So from the beginning, 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, theta, and then start it over on the second measure here. 1, theta 2, theta 3, hammer, oops, hammer. I butchered that hammer on there at the end. So the second measure, that's it. That ends the kickoff. Pretty straightforward with that tablature. Pause the video if you need more work on that kickoff. Then it moves into the A part. Let's start talking about the A part progression. Here's the first line of that A part. We got G, G, C, G. And we're using the boom chick pattern with the right hand. Boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, boom chick. It's pretty simple. The boom is a pick of the individual bass note, and the chick is a strum of the skinnier strings. Boom chick, boom chick, boom chick. And we have alternating bass line going on, alternating between the 6th string and the 4th string, and then it changes up as we go through this first measure. Let's go over the bass line. Starts out with a pick on the 6th string. You're pressing the G chord, so boom, and then pick on the 4th string, still playing the G chord. Switch to the C chord, pick on the 5th string. And then the last chord, you're just gonna switch back to the G and then pick on the open 4th string for the bass note. And that last bass note there, that last G chord, always throws me off a bit, but it's gonna be on that open 4th string, that D string. Because I have the tendency, once I switch back to that G chord, I always want to pick that low 6th string bass note again, but sounds good to play that open 4th string. So anyways, the first measure of the A part, G, G, C, G, and then second measure, real straightforward, it's just G, G, D, G, and there you have it. Bass line is 6th string, 4th string, 4th string again when the D chord, back to the G chord, 6th string. And that's it. So all together, first line of the A part. G, G, C, G, 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 D, G. So take that line, play it twice, and that'll be the entire A part. Then after that, now let's move into the B part. Pause if you need more work on that A part, but talking about this B part now, check out that tablature. We're starting out with this little hammer-on. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I'll go over it again. Hammer-on, pretty simple. You can use this whenever you want to when you're playing a G chord. That little hammer-on to start out, that G chord. But it's just a hammer-on with your left pointer finger on the 2nd fret, low E string, and just hammer on with that left middle. Hammer, strum, hammer, strum. So the first measure of this B part, it's all G chord. G, 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 G. And then the second measure, and well, back to the first measure, that bass note line is very simple. It just alternates between the 6th string, 4th string, 6th string, 4th string. G, 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 G. And the second measure, G, G, D, G. And that's it. That's the first line of the B part, the second section. G, 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 D, G. So take that line that you see right there and play it twice, and that will give you the complete B part. And that's it. That's a little extra breakdown for that rhythm. So let's get into adding in these basic fill riffs first, these beginner fill riffs, and then after that we'll add in the intermediate fills. Now this is where the fun starts. I'm going to start adding in these nice fills into this progression that we just learned. So we're going to start out just with this A part here, and we've already learned the progression. So what we're going to do the first, looking at this first measure of the A part, we got 2 counts of the G chord, and we're just going to do the rhythm for those first 2 counts. G, G. But then for the second half of that first measure, over the C chord and the D chord part, we're going to do a little melodic fill instead of playing the chords. And that fill, that first melodic fill there, that picks up a little bit of the melody line of Cripple Creek. Dun, 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 dun. There's a bunch of different variations of this melody line, and that's the thing with bluegrass. I mean, there's so many different ways of playing the same song. People just add their own spin to it, but that's the main idea. It's right there. That's what we're going to do. Dun, 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 dun. First measure, G, G, dun, 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 dun. Now let's move into the second measure. This is going to be 1 measure's worth of a bluegrass fill riff, a real basic beginner one. And those notes, they're straight out of that hybrid scale that we learned. So keep that scale in mind as you're studying these riffs here. Here's the riff one more time. Hammer on slide. And I hammer on with my left ring finger there. And then slide up with my left ring finger. Oops. And then left second finger, pointer finger, ring finger, open. So that's the first 1 measure bluegrass fill riff. So all the way through, this first line of the A part is going to sound like this. G, G. One more quick note, when you play that first melodic fill, what I like to do is start out playing the G chord. I like to leave my left ring and pinky planted as I play that fill right here. And I just use my left middle, open to the pointer finger. So just leave that left ring and pinky planted. I find it easier to do it that way. And then play the fill. You can lift up your hand and play that bluegrass fill. Alright, that was just some extra detailed breakdown for that first line. So let's go through the rest of this a little bit quicker. The second line of the A part, we're going to change it up slightly with the fill riffs. We're going to keep on adding in slightly different fills. The first measure is going to be the same though. You recognize that part, we've already done that. Now here's a new fill. And pay close attention to those down pick and up pick triangles. And actually the only up pick throughout that whole thing is the second note. Right there on the first fret. And then it's all down picks from there on out. So there's that riff there. Pause the video if you need more work on that riff. Let me play through it so you can hear it one more time. Second line of the A part. There you go. That is the full A part. Move on now to the B part. Slightly different for that first melodic fill. Start out with rhythm again. But now here's the melodic fill. Same deal though, with the left ring and pinky, keep those planted as if you were still playing that G chord. So G, G. Keep them planted here when you play this riff. And I play the riff that hammer on with my left pointer. That's how I do it. I take a little practice. G, G. And then moves into the second measure. Here it is. Oops. All right, now I got it. All right, that's it. The picking ups, down and upstrokes, they're similar to what we just did in that previous line. Down, up. That second note is the only up pick and the rest are all just downs. That's it. So one time all the way through, first line of the B part. Moves into the second line of the B part. First measure of that is the exact same. And now here's the fill riff. One more time. So for this one measure fill riff, I do that first hammer on there, and after I hammer on, leave that left ring finger planted right there, don't move it, because it'll be right in position for that next slide. And then pull off with the left pointer finger. You notice it's actually all down picks for this little riff. The hammer on and the slides and the pull-offs, those are all where you would have done your up pick, but since those hammer-ons and slides and pull-offs are there, all down picks. So that's it. There's the second line of the B part. And there you have it. That is the complete round of the chord progression with some beginner fill riffs. So now pause the video if you need to work on that, or you want to work on that a little bit more, but let's start adding in some intermediate fills. We're going to go through that same exact chord progression, but the fills are going to be a little more complex.